In part 2 of the GOAT. Last week we talked about Jesus being the GOAT inside of our lives. Jesus being the greatest of all time, and how he's an example of the greatest of all times, and how we're going to be looking over the next few weeks about just some characteristics and some ideas and principles that Jesus lays out for us so that we can also be the greatest of all time wherever we find ourselves, whether that's inside of our jobs, inside of our homes, inside of our communities, wherever we find ourselves, that we can be the greatest of all time. Why? Because Jesus is laying out that example for us. Yeah. Why is that? Because, those are also reasons, because Jesus said, you shall do greater things than I. And so we're to lay out a foundation for doing greater things. Then what we have to understand is, since he was the GOAT, we have permission to be the GOAT. Yeah. Because he was the expert, we have the ability to be the expert. And really, many of you inside this room, the thing that you need to get inside of your head, I have two thoughts that went together. Here's the first thought. The thought is that you are not the greatest in your world because you won't allow yourself to believe that you are the greatest in your world. Yeah. We have this thing where we feel like we give people authority inside of our lives. Yeah. And yet, why do we give those people that authority? Because somebody else has said that they are okay to speak on a particular subject. Not because they're an expert, not because they know it all. Because even if you look on CNN, you look on Fox, some of these commentators that they have, their nose is still running. The print is still fresh on their diplomas. Because they went to school for 4 years and now all of a sudden they're an expert in telling us how we should think, how we should behave, how we should see things in the point of life. And so we're allowing people to dictate our behavior because someone decided, because they look cute, and that's why the majority of them are on the TV. Yes. Just so you're aware. They're on TV because they're what we used to refer to in high school and college as eye candy. You know, they look good. You know what I mean? They look the part. Yeah. But what we need to understand is that majority of them are reading from scripts. Yeah. The majority of them have no idea what they're talking about because they don't have the experience that actually enables them to actually speak wisdom into a particular situation. Now, I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying that as we look at this, how do you see who you are? How do you see the person that you are as you walk around or you see yourself as, well, I'm just someone who's just trying to cope. I'm just someone who's just trying to be here. But what we need to understand is that wisdom is passed on from person to person. It's not something that should be like we read about it and we're like, oh my God, that's how I should think. Oh my God, I'm going to think that way. Mm-hmm. But it's something that needs to be passed on from one person to another person, from another person to another person. So you might not feel like you have the authority. You might not feel like you're the expert, but you are the expert. You are the person in authority over your own life. Yeah. And all we're talking about is when we talk about this idea of who Jesus is, one of the things that made Jesus great was the idea that he knew who he was. Yeah. We talked about this last week. Because he knew who he was able to go to John the Baptist and say, you baptize me. Yeah. You know, I don't have to use your platform to try to make myself look better or be better. I'm who I am. And because I know who I am, I'm going to act in a way that actually demonstrates who I am with authority, with peace, with victory, which lets me go from one level to the next level to the next level. And maybe I don't go to the next level yet, but I stay on this one a little bit while. But I'm secure with that because I know who I am. And so my behavior isn't defined by what someone else says, but it's defined about what does God say about me? How do I feel in this moment? How am I going to deal with this? I'm not basing it upon everyone else inside of my circle, has a nicer car, maybe they have a nicer job, maybe they bought a house and I don't have a house yet. But what I'm saying is I'm just going to be content with where God has me, and I'm going to prepare myself in this season for my next. Because I might might not be able to do it now, but I'll be able to do it in my next. I might not be able to act right. I might not be able to say the right words, but I'm going to be able to say the right words next time. I'm going to be able to buy that house next time. I'm going to be able to buy that car next time. It's all about what is coming, what is the next inside of your life. And Jesus understood that. And since he understood that, it brings us to our point today of what we're talking about in Matthew chapter 4, verse 18 through 19. It says, Jesus called his disciples. That's the section. Jesus called his disciples. He gathered them. And so today, if you are writing your notes, the title of today's message is Putting Together a Team. Yeah. Everyone who's a GOAT in sports understands that they've got to put a team around them to excel their gifts. Yeah. You know, let's look at LeBron. Why did LeBron go to Miami? Because he became part of a team that would equip him to go to the next level. Yeah. See, many of us, we're stuck in this idea because we don't see ourselves as the experts, because we don't give ourselves the authority that we want. We do it on our own. And why do we do it on our own? Because we only feel comfortable with ourselves, or maybe because we only feel insecure with ourselves. Yeah. Maybe because we don't trust anybody else. Maybe because other people haven't shown, or maybe it's them, maybe it's not them, maybe it's us. But at the end of the day, I have no control over them. I only have control over me. Yeah. I don't have control over how they're acting, but I do have control over how I'm acting. That's right. You know, like my girls get into like these heated discussions, arguments. You know, your girl probably too. Anyone has kids, you know, siblings, it's like it goes back and forth. It's like they argue about nothing. Like, it's just nothing, and they're arguing about it. You're like, it's not even important. But yet what they do is they're trying to volley, or they're trying to position themselves about, well, I'm doing this. This is mine. This is my thing. And when we are not in a place where we are able to develop the right team, to be in the right place, like Jesus did, what we are doing is we are volleying for attention. Yeah. We are trying to get our parents' attention. We're trying to get God's attention. And God's saying, you have my attention. You don't need to act up. You don't need to talk like that. You don't need to behave in that type of way. You have my attention. The Bible says to come that we have the freedom because of what Jesus is to approach the throne of God. There is no divided temple anymore, but yet we live our lives in that type of way. Well, I only can talk and worship God on Sunday. Well, I only can do it if the pastor preaches a good message. I only can do this if I have the right worship music and the right ocean environment. See, people who are mature understand I don't need the right environment. I create the environment. I am the creator of environments. I am the builder of people's lives. I am the one who's going to bring atmosphere change into my house, into my kids' room, into my school, into my classroom. It is you who are the answer. It's not somebody else, it's you. And when you understand that you are the GOAT of your life, is that you walk around with that authority, you walk around with that victory, and you walk around just as Jesus did in Matthew chapter 14, saying this: as Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers. What did he see? Two brothers. Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. Listen to this. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were what? Verse 19. It says, come follow me. This is Jesus saying, and I will send you out to fish for people. At once they left their nets and followed him. Going on from there, he saw again two other brothers, okay? James, son of Zebedee. What's that? Zebedee. How you say it? Zebedee. There you go. Thank you, Father. Thank you. All the rest of you said Zebedee. Y'all like, yeah, there you go, right there. There you go. You know, so there you go. So, and that might not even be the right way to spell. That's just the way the preacher told us how to say it. So we don't know. So there we go. But we're going to keep going. And it says, Brother John. They were in a boat with their father, preparing their nets. Jesus called them immediately. They left the boat and their father followed him. Yeah. See, called, the idea of being able to build a team is being able to call people from where they're at to something else. I'm calling you from this into this. See, See, and let me just, because I think this is like the clearest indication for many of us, because we can't see it in our own lives, but we can see it in other people's lives.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, when it comes to young people, there has been this thing within our culture that we let our young people float through life to figure themselves out.
Right.
Yeah.
When that is not biblical. What Jesus did is Jesus said he called them and took them somewhere else. He called them from this to this.
Yeah.
And many times when we try to let our kids figure out themselves, they end up more lost and more confused.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm saying this not because I had it all together. I'm saying it because when I graduated from high school, I was confused.
Yeah.
I'm saying it because when I was in my freshman year in college, I was confused.
Yeah.
I'm saying it because I was confused even after I had switched to a second school and still trying to figure out my life. In that moment, I was still confused.
Yeah.
And let me just be a little bit honest with you for a little bit. You know, I'm already being honest. Let me be a little more honest with you. Even after I graduated from college, I still was confused.
Yeah.
Because we have people who they're allowing the generation or the voices of this generation to dictate and call them to somewhere. So you've gone from Christian to atheist. You've gone from clarity to confusion. You've gone from student to someone who's wandering through life. You've gone from someone who is drug-free to all of a sudden you are addicted to every single substance on the earth. You've gone from being a virgin to being someone who can't keep their thing inside their pants. Oh, come on, y'all can we get a little bit truthful now? Can we just get a little bit real? You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. It's because we've allowed other people's voices, or what the business world likes to call the elevator pitch of other people's life to dictate us. You know, how many of you guys know what the elevator pitch? Only 2, 3 of you. So how many people know what the elevator pitch is? Okay, when you're trying to get a job and you see someone who you like and they're like, well, what are you all about? Your elevator pitch is the 20 seconds. They say 20, what is it actually? 30 seconds, what is it? 20, how many?
It's about 30 seconds where you
about 30 seconds. There you go. About 30 seconds that you have to tell the person all about who you are.
Yeah.
Right? You have 30 seconds. But without the 30 seconds, if it goes longer, you've lost them. If it's, and if it's shorter, that's awesome. Then that's amazing. And isn't it very interesting that is not, we like to say that that's a modern business technique, but yet isn't it very interesting that that's what Jesus does right here? Y'all don't believe me? That's why I have y'all. That went from,
Good point.
In verse 19, this is what he says, come follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people. That's his elevator pitch. And you're like, well, how does that make his elevator pitch? It makes elevator pitch because it wasn't about Jesus, it was about them. The key word, I will make you into something. What they're teaching people now in business school, what they're teaching people now when they're trying to be influencers of people's lives on YouTube and all that. One of the things they're saying is, what's your elevator pitch? And they're saying if it's about you, you've already lost the person, but it's got to be about the you. The you is the person that you're talking to. What am I here to do? I'm here to help you become a better parent. What am I here to do? I'm here to entertain you. What am I here to do? I'm here to make you some money. What are you here for? I'm here today to talk about 5 things that you can do to better your life, or for you to get that job, for you to see me make a fool of myself, for you to do fill in the blank. Is that Jesus had his elevator pitch down packed. And when you have it down packed, you know who you are. You know, I was reading this article. It's entitled Uncovering the Hidden Talent of Your Staff. And this is a quote from the author, the person who wrote the article, Vicky Hugh. And it says, when you're doing something innovative, you need people with an innovative disposition. Yeah, people who's, their persona, their attitude, it says, who are open-minded and can move quickly. They need to be comfortable taking risk and failing and be highly collaborative.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, as you are living this life as a Christian, you need to understand that it's innovative. You need to stop looking at it as though it's something that is stale or that it's boring. No, it's something that is innovative. There's something that's always changing. The principles don't change, but yet the things that we do are they change. You know, 10 years ago, who had a Bible on their phone? Nobody in here. 10 years ago, you didn't. Oh, is it?
2009, like it was 88.
Okay, he was on the big phone, you know what I'm saying? But the idea is that things are changing.
Yeah.
Things are moving. Things are progressing. And as Christians, we've got to think that same type of way of bringing creativity into the mix. And God is calling us, calling every single one of us. This is his pitch to you, is that I will make you fisher of men.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is that I'm pulling you from out of where you're at and I'm placing you somewhere else. I'm giving you purpose. I'm giving you a mission. I'm giving you all the things that you need so that you can become all that God wants you to become.
Yeah.
Mission statement of the church. What is it? No one turn around and look at the wall. What is it?
Helping people to love life.
You're sort of right, but you're not right. It's right there behind you. It says helping people to love God, life, and people.
You need it on that one.
That's no going behind the wall. Money right there. So when people leave, they can see it. So, but helping people love God, life, and people. You're saying, well, I don't know what my mission statement is from my life. Well, you need to just grab a hold of that one for right now. You should have a personal one as well. What is your personal mission statement? What is your personal napkin thing that is on your, elevator pitch? What is your, what is your napkin content strategy design? What is it that you have that at the end of the day, if we're to sit down and talk to you, that helps, that beats inside of you? What is that thing? What is the thing that, and guess what? It should only be a sentence. It shouldn't be longer than a sentence. If it's a paragraph, chop it up. If it's 2 sentences, chop it up. Make it easy, something that you can run with. Mine is, this is mine. Who knows what mine are? The youth. You know what my mission statement is? I said to you numerous times. You probably, and I don't say it on mission statement. I just say, hey, I'm here to do. You don't know, do you? Jojo,
Yeah.
what is it? The last conversation me and you had, I was drilling you on it because you were like, whatever. But here we go. Helping you to encounter Jesus. That's all. That's all my mission statement is. I like it. It's helping you to encounter Jesus. So from these set of texts, what are some things that we can grab a hold of? What Jesus knew. The first thing that Jesus knew as he was calling these people out, or as he was gathering his team, this is the first thing he knew. What you're currently doing points to your future. What you're currently doing points to your future.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why, young people, you need to be trying to get good grades.
Yeah.
Because it points to your future.
Yeah.
That's why adults, that's why at your job, you should be trying to be the best that you can at that job. Showing up early. I didn't say on time, I said early. Showing up early. Making sure you cross all your T's and dot your I's. Make sure you have a smile on your face. If you got to buy extra coffee, buy extra coffee. That you manage your budget appropriately. You don't go over in your budget every single month. That you're living at your living expenses. Make sure you're doing all of that right. Why? Because what you're doing now, what you're currently doing, points to your future.
Yeah.
Well, how? I don't understand how it does it. I don't know, but it just does.
Direction.
But this is what I do know. You know what I'm saying? You might be like, well, how does being a fisherman's son point to being disciples? Outside of the fact that they're both, one's gathering fish, one's gathering people, I don't know. But let me tell you right now, what did Jesus see them doing? It doesn't say Jesus walked by and saw them complaining, cussing out their parents because they're mad and frustrated with life. It doesn't say they were sitting on their couch doing nothing. What it says is that, it says that they were, getting to my next point, but one of them was casting out nets. They were using the tools that were in their hand. They were using them appropriately. That's what I was going to tell my kids all the time. Use the tools you have appropriately. A pencil is not to be thrown at your sister. It's to write with. It's just not. It's not what it's supposed to be used for. Okay? The other thing that they were doing was that one of them was preparing the nets. So one group of sons were casting the nets. The other group of sons were preparing the nets. They were using what was in their hands. And how many of you guys know that later on, that became the very thing that Jesus actually built upon when he sent them out 2 by 2. When he sent them out with no money. When he sent them out with nothing, and he said, go use what you have. That's why he prepared a place for them. And he needed people who weren't stuck in, we don't have enough money. He needed people who weren't stuck in this whole mentality of, well, I'm just so tired. I just don't have enough energy. I just don't have this. I don't have that. Who are stuck on what they don't have. Use what you do have. Clean it up. Make it nice. Make it look the way that you want it to look. And use it for the purpose of God.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
So that you can fulfill your life's mission. You're like, okay, well, what you're currently doing points to your future. Jesus says that Jesus saw what they were doing. The second thing, everybody say number 2.
Number 2.
How you do your current points to your future. So it's not only what you're currently doing, but how you do what you're currently doing.
Right.
Do you have a good attitude at work? Or are you nasty and stinky? Do you cheat? Do you lie? Are you trying to steal things? Whether it's little pencils, I don't know what it is. You're just like, well, they owe me. Nobody owes you nothing. And you're laughing, but the thing is that maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one in here who's stole some stuff from his previous employer that maybe it's like a pen or it was like a napkins and toilet paper, so we could have it at the house called milk. So we have and it's like we try to justify it. We try to say, it's okay. It's fine. Well, it's this, it's that, and we have developed a mentality inside of our lives, and then we wonder why people don't want to come to church when we ask them to come to church.
Yes.
Because we don't know how to treat the things that we've been given. Don't take for granted where you work.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't take for granted your boss.
Yeah.
And yes, they might not deserve the position that they got. But that ain't your problem.
That's right.
That's not your concern. Your concern is to be living according to your purpose.
Yeah.
Be living according to your plan. And young people, y'all think I'm just talking about bosses. I'm talking about y'all teachers too.
Yeah.
Some of y'all teachers are so dumb that I don't even know what's wrong with them. And I'm not lying because I hear some of the stories, but it is not your job to label them. That is your job to obey.
That's right.
It is your job to do what they say to do. If it don't make sense, you still do it.
That's right.
Why? Because that's your teacher. Because one day you're going to have a boss who don't know what he's doing and going to tell you to do something. You let them figure that out. You let God work all that out. The Bible says is that God is orchestrating governments. And if God can do that, God can orchestrate your teacher to get on the right path.
Yes.
Ella had a teacher in a subject that will go nameless just in case. But she would argue and debate and act like she was in high school and how she treated her high schoolers. Like I said, just telling them this is the way it's going to be. And it was saying she would argue and debate with them and be like, like she was treating them like they were her peers.
Okay.
Well, guess what? Her contract did not get renewed this year.
Right.
Why? Because someone finally spoke up about how childish she was.
Right.
See, how did all that happen? Because God watches out for my daughter and where my daughter's going.
That's right.
See, and you have to understand, young people, it is not your job to correct your parents. It is not your job to correct your teacher. It is your job to obey. It is your job to be directed. It is your job to listen and move and to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Let God figure out all the details of everything else that needs to be figured out.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. Some of y'all are really uncomfortable about that. Like, what? I don't understand how this. You know, but how you do your current points to your future. They were fishermen. What were they doing? I've already said this. Casting their nets, using their tools, preparing their nets, improving their tools. You got to do two things. You got to use your tools, and you got to improve your tools. Joel will tell you this all the time. When you are into like camera stuff, like we have this camera stuff like that church has and stuff, when you're into camera stuff, you know, when you're like a geek freak or whatever, what you always do is you get focused not on using the tool, but you get focused on, well, can I somehow sell this, sell that, so I can get the newer tool? You know, because and you're so consumed with the tool that you never use the tool. You know, it's like Diane. You know, when she was a plumber, she's like, man, they came out with a brand new pipe thing. I just go and it comes right off. Oh my goodness, how amazing is that? She gets on YouTube, watches a whole bunch of videos, watches 20 hours worth of content, and she's like, yeah, that's so awesome. Man, I'm gonna get that. But during that time, she just lost 20 hours of work. And many of us, we get stuck on watching other people live their life. That we never live our own lives. Oh my goodness, wouldn't it be amazing to go on a vacation? Oh my, I want to go on vacation. And so you spend all this time watching all these videos about people on vacation, and 6 months go by, and how much have you saved up for your vacation? Zero. Wow. How many airlines have you called to see how much it would cost? Zero. Because we've got into this mentality, I'm just going to watch. I'm just going to observe. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to see what's going on, and I'm not going to engage. Engagement has to do with the activities that you apply your hands to. The tools that you have, are you using them appropriately? And are you cleaning them? Are you preparing them to be used? See, and that's the thing, the essence of our lives is that we have been deceived, related to it, we have been deceived in thinking that if I've watched it, I participated in it. Right. If it's on someone's story and they were there, you know, but then you give the same engagement to that you give when you're actually with someone. See, and that's a totally different subject, because I'm still trying to work that out in my mind. I'm still trying to work that out in my attitude. How I will be excited about something that I see on a screen, whether it's in my hands or it's there, but when I'm actually there, I'm more like this. And I have more interaction as a person with what's on the screen than when I'm actually present and it's right there in front of me. Because we've been deceived. We've been deceived to think that our engagement of just viewing something is enough for us to experience it, when it's not. It's not enough. It's not what God intended for our lives. And this is the third thing and the last thing. Hopes and desires don't always line up with current reality, but be ready to move. See, I love this because the disciples, the Bible says two things. The first group, they left what? At once. Remember last week what we talked about? Now. We talked about now is the time. Now is the moment. Understand the value of the now, of not waiting till next week or waiting till tomorrow, but now, and taking advantage of that now. The second group of brothers, what did they do? They left. So one is at once they left. Another response was immediately they left. And there was something so dynamic about just being committed to just doing something. To just saying, hey, I'm running with this. Hey, I'm going to make this happen. But let me tell you, what Jesus did was Jesus took these young men. Well, let me tell you right now. And I hate when people say this. Like I hate it. Like I hate it to the bone. Like it irritates me. Like when people say it, I always correct it. And I'm not really that confrontational type of person, but when they say this, I always correct it. You know, people go, ministry is hard. Ministry is not hard. You know what gives you the perception that it's hard? Is the person who's doing it. The second person is the person who's actually receiving it. And when you sit up here and you develop a mentality that this is hard, what I'm doing is hard, what I'm doing in terms of loving people is hard, what you do is you actually create a wall in your life that eliminates the possibilities of you being able to actually do what you do from a healthy place. When you're on the other side, talking about y'all now, when y'all look at what I do as being hard, what you basically are doing is you are developing a theology, an understanding, a doctrine, a mentality around how you give, around what you give, about how you approach ministry, your view of why you say yes and no when someone asks you to do something. But when in any other sphere, you do the exact same thing and you could do it all day. But when you ask to do it inside these four walls, it becomes difficult because in your mind, you've put up a wall as well that you have to climb over. When ministry isn't hard, the Bible says, this is what Jesus says, my yoke is what? Easy. Easy. You know, and so why is this hard? This is hard because it's too much of me in it. It's hard because it's too much of you in it. Well, you got to deal with people, and people are messy, and people are this, people are that. Yeah, yes, people are, but will you focus on what people are, or will you focus on what people are that you don't like, or will you focus on what people are that you do like? Like, is that true? I go around the room right up to every single person, and I can tell you one thing that I do not like about you. And it's more than just, oh, I don't like your shoes. I can tell you things personality-wise that I don't like about you. But I also can go around this room and I also can be encouraged and tell you every single one of you guys things that I do love about you. And which one will I allow to dominate my life? Will I allow what you're not doing to dominate my life, or will I allow the potential that is inside of you? And what Jesus did was Jesus took 12 young boys. They weren't even young men, they were boys. And because the Bible lets us know that the Bible says, but historians tell us that probably the oldest one was about 16 years old. He took a bunch of trays. How old are you, Mikey?
Yeah.
16, 17? Maybe one of them was older than Mikey. Maybe Mikey would be the oldest. He took them. And why did he take them? Because the young people have a tendency that they're not concrete inside their mind of what they're thinking yet. You know, it's and the thing is that as older people, we have to ask ourselves, am I going to be old or am I going to be young?
Amen.
Am I going to be an old person or I'm going to be young?
I'm sorry.
You know, one of the things that Craig said, I'm about to give an example right from your life. I'm glad you asked. You know, one thing that Craig said to me, he goes, I'm getting older, but I don't want to act like an older person. Like I don't want to be me. I don't want to have this thing where I'm like, no, but I want to be open. I want to be, I want to be in a place where I'm vulnerable, where God can still kind of speak to me and use me and do work in and through my life. And that's the difference between, are you going to be old, and not in regards to age, because folks, we like wine now, okay? So the older we get, the more seasoned we become. The better tasting we become. All that other stuff. But are you going to be old in regards to your stinky, nasty thoughts and behavior? And you're going to say it worked in 1985, so it should work now. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The things you did then aren't going to help you now. Right. They're just a foundation by which you step on and you keep moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as we keep moving forward, the hopes and desires don't always line up with our current situation, but be ready to move. What you need to see is that when you are moving people from one place to another place, is that they wanted LeBron to join a championship team. That was the whole purpose. But were they champions yet? No. They weren't. KD wanted to join a championship team. Now, were they champions?
Yes.
Yes. And many times, many of us, we want the KD situation, but we don't want the LeBron situation. We want the KD thing where everything's already laid out for us. It's already guaranteed. We're going to make it to the finals. Now, what we do after that is up to us, but we're going to make it there. But what we have to understand is most of us are not living the KD life. Most of us in this room are living the LeBron life. This is a step of faith right now. How far did y'all get last season?
Wow.
Oh, y'all got knocked out in the first round? Oh, well, and you're talking about you want to make a championship team? There are no guarantees with every step that you take.
Right.
And if you are looking for a guarantee, someone has deceived you. If it's a guarantee, I was watching Sanford and Son. I know it's not politically correct, okay? But my grandfather watches Sanford and Son every single day, and he watches Cosby Show too. So if you guys that are really trying to get a really real thing, he watches those two things every single day. And so, so he is there watching Sanford and Son, and the plot was there was this a bathroom, like a bowl like that, was supposedly have been sat on and used by the Prince of Wales. And so Lamont, right? Lamont, the son, buys it from this lady who supposedly is trying to get rid of all of her husband's stuff, right? Bought it for $20. $20, which, you know, for nowadays, for like $200, okay? It's kind of, so $20, right? Well, the husband comes into the junkyard, you know, how many of you guys, wait, let's back up a little. How many of you guys know what Sanford and Son is?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys don't? It's okay, whatever. But they all know, but y'all don't know. Okay, so it's an old show about a father and a son who are living in the junkyard people, or the salvage people, whatever they call it. And so Lamont, the son, brings it home. He's all excited. Dad, I got this thing. You know, I got it because it has the crest. You know, the Duke or whatever. This was his pot, you know, that he used, and you know, the father, he's going crazy with it. A pot? Really? I can sell you something that'd be more, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want me to do something and something, you know, I'll give you something else. So the husband of the person who supposedly, you know, sold him this pot on accident, comes to the junkyard, oh, I need this. This is a family heirloom, you know, starts making up all this stuff, right? And he starts going, I'll give you $200 for it, you know, which, you know, now would be more like $2,000. You know, and he's like, you know, I'll give you $300. He goes, well, you take a check. And he goes, so he writes him a check for $300. And he goes, $300, gives it to him, right? And Lamont's, I'll have someone tomorrow come and pick it up. Almost 24 hours goes by. Another man shows up, offers more money for the thing, but doesn't want to interfere with the transaction that had already come. And he goes, if you can buy it back from the guy, I'll sell you possibly up to $900 or more for the pot. And so Lamont is like, oh, that's so cool, whatever. So he goes, if you have any questions, call this number, right? Well, another 24 hours goes by. He's already bought back the pot, so he's paid $250. Remember, he was offered whatever. He was offered $300, but I think he paid $350 for it. So actually, he ends up losing $50, whatever. And so he comes back, and Lamont, you know, has the pot, and he's waiting for this guy. He's like, where's this guy? This guy said he was coming on Friday. It's Friday. Where is he at? He called the person, and it's a number for McDonald's. And he's like, oh, man, dude, you know, Sam.
Big dummy.
You big dummy. You big dummy. You know, and he goes, you were conned.
Yeah.
They conned you. And he's trying to do the math. He goes, but I had $300, but I paid $350. Oh, so I lost $50. So he lost $50 in the whole transaction. But then his father's like, no, you didn't, you big dummy. You lost $350 because the check that you just took, I called the bank, and the bank hasn't even cashed it yet because it's bouncing. See, the thing is, when you think it's too good to be true. It's just too good to be true. You know, I hate to say this, but don't be the dummy. Keep moving forward. Keep going after the things of God. And understand that your hopes and desires don't always line up with your current situation. You want to be a millionaire. You want to drive big-time cars. But yet no one in your family has a big-time $2,000, $200,000 car. Your current situation doesn't line up with where you're going, but that doesn't mean you stop believing. It doesn't mean that you don't stop moving forward. It doesn't mean that you don't stop. Is it just because of where you're at doesn't line up with what's inside of your heart? It doesn't mean that you give it up. Don't give it up. Keep moving forward. Have the courage. Have the boldness to do the things that God is calling you to do. Come on, Christian, because I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. The three things, what Jesus knew. That your current situation, what you're currently doing points to your future. How you do your current points to your future. And your hopes and desires don't always line up with your current situation, but be ready to move. The disciples were ready to move. I don't know what their desires were. But Jesus knew. I don't know why particularly he chose these people outside of the fact that, they were people who weren't just sitting on a couch somewhere. If you're sitting around waiting for God to give you that business, it's not going to happen. If you're sitting around waiting for, and you haven't put on any resumes, if you're waiting to get into a school and yet you haven't even filled out an application, you're not getting into that school. If you're sitting there waiting for someone to just discover who you are, majority of the time it doesn't happen. Even still. See, the old world that we lived in was like this. And there was a white male who was sitting at a desk. And all the talent in the world had to go to this one desk and basically say, hey, am I good enough to do blank? We're not living in that world anymore. We're living in a world right now where someone can turn on a camera and they can bypass the one person who their thoughts, their mentality, their experiences from life, and you wonder why, certain ethnicities don't get to be on certain shows, but that's because it's all based upon what that one person is thinking. You want to know why in every single show that you watch now, that there's at least one scene where a guy is kissing a guy and a girl is kissing a girl? It's not because that's the way everyone else is living. It's because of 1 or 6 people sitting around a table and they're trying to express their view of life. It's not everyone's view of life. It's not everyone's experience. It's not everyone's, desires and things and what they're dealing with, but it's the people that are sitting around that table. But we live in a time, we live in an age now where you can flip on a switch on a camera and an hour later post something on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. Even some people have the capacity just to stream their own website. And yet we still have excuses. We say that person's trying to keep me down. That person won't let me. Well, how about you just have the courage